Hi, everybody. Welcome to Square It Up. I'm Bill Swinford.
And I'm Monica Daniels.
And I'm Tom Mann.
This is the Swinford Media Group's weekly podcast, and this is episode 44. That means we've been doing this a while.
Yeah.
About a year. I think we've gotten 44 in over the course of a year or so. And Tom, we just appreciate it so much. Tom,
I do too. It's kept me busy, which has been great.
well, that's good. I mean, that's what Vicky says. Your wife says we need to keep you busy. We need to keep you occupied, especially since we come to Tom's house.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this a few times, but we are in Tom's basement. This is Tom's basement studio. Now, it's an undisclosed location, right?
Right.
And we're not about to disclose it because this is kind of like the Bat Cave. This is
It's
down
the
here.
Manncave.
The man.
It's a real man cave.
M-A-N-N
A
cave.
real one.
Right.
Or I call it the hole. Either one, you know.
But we just before we went on started recording, we were talking about how back in the day people would be able to find us because everybody had the white pages, so they'd be able to look up Tom on his landline and his old HR 549 phone number and figure out where he lived. You remember?
His address. And even the kids were named, right? Wasn't that a
Well,
thing too?
okay. So that's what I remember is the old city directories we used to have. And Heron, I grew up in Heron, and I was excited when these things came out. These were actually hardback books that would come out. They'd be full of advertising. I don't know who was producing these things, but you'd get it, and not only would your mom and dad be listed there, but all the kids would be listed with their birth years.
You're going to be kidding.
Can you imagine?
How about the socials? They did leave those out. I'm trying to remember. We didn't get that.
Can you imagine that today?
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, here are the children that live in this house, and here's how old they are. That's really kind of creepy, really.
It really is. So I guess somebody just kind of realized when the Terminator came out,
Yeah.
how that could be potentially a very bad thing.
No, it's not a good idea.
We just live in such a completely different world.
So different. We didn't think that way back then. I love that we didn't think that way back then.
Yeah, they were more pure then. Like we didn't think of all of the bad possibilities that could happen if if the whole world knew where you lived or
Yeah, and of
how
course,
many kids you had or how old they were.
so in the media business, we talk all the time, is the world that much worse, or is it just because media saturates it so much that anything that happens anywhere in the world gets out? If it's bad, especially if it's bad, if it's an ugly story, it gets out, and it terrifies us that it could happen in our own backyard, our own street.
Right.
And
it gets out immediately too.
Yeah.
So
gosh.
it's not where, before we had technology, you wouldn't hear about something until a month after it happened.
And
get the news on it.
no one, I can't imagine anyone ever coming to your house back then and trying to do anything to your property or to your yard.
Right.
I lived in the city of Memphis. That would never happen.
There was a lot more.
I mean, people would take care of it in the neighborhood. It was different.
Yeah.
People would walk up to your
my
door.
goodness.
They'd knock on your door, unexpected. We didn't have any way of being alerted ahead of time.
Yeah.
You weren't getting a text saying, "Hey, can I come over?" or "Is it okay?"
We're watching by blink cameras to see when Maya and
that's
Bill
it.
show up
That's
today.
fine. And now somebody knocks on our door. We often just like, "What in the world? What is happening?" And it's traumatizing.
Why
When your
is someone
doorbell
coming to my
Why?
door?
What is this about?
You
Unless
know,
they're not
hide,
delivering
peek
something,
out. Who is knocking on my door? Because of course you're going to send a text and you're going to make plans and
Right.
you're not going to just spontaneously show up at someone's
Well,
house.
right.
It's just such a
It's just
And
not polite.
We
anymore.
never would call anybody to go to somebody's house. No, you'd go to their house. You never
their
called.
house.
Never. And you couldn't text. Didn't see a letter. Maybe you did if you're coming a month late. Later after that, you don't even send a letter. My grandmother used to do that. I'm coming next month.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Somehow we would find out the day, but we didn't know when.
Right.
So
But this was making me think of how much the world has changed and communicating has changed. And of course, we had telephones, so you could call somebody and say, "Hey, can I come over?" Again, phone rings, people would pick it up and answer it. We've all lived long enough that we can remember when you had no idea who was calling you when you picked the phone up, and you would just answer it. And I mean, when we were kids, we were racing to answer the phone like it was so exciting the phone was ringing.
Oh, that's true.
The
Yeah.
exact opposite of how it feels today.
It's kind of like, I don't know.
The phone is ringing. I'm like,
What's happening?
look at caller ID and who
And
is that?
we had the
If you don't
dial phone in
recognize
my
the
home
number.
forever.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about probably up to mid 80s. My mom and dad did not get one for the longest. Yeah, the rotary dial.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because I was the only person who didn't really dial into a radio station for the. I had friends with touch tones. I would go to their house to be part of a contest. Call next five callers will win whatever. And I had the rotary dial. I never got in.
Right.
But
and then there was that thing where we switched from a rotary. We had a rotary and we switched to a touchstone. But you would punch the buttons and you still were hearing the
rotary because the system had been
so you still were
put in.
waiting.
Yeah.
I had the extra long extension cord. So there was the family phone in the hallway, and then I would grab it and take it into the bathroom and shut the door. My brothers would be knocking on the door, and I'm like, just go outside. I'm on the phone.
You did that with your friends or girlfriends. I had a long one, and I would take that and go around the corner into my room. I can remember that.
Yeah. I would go into the bathroom because that's the door that locked in the house. Was the bathroom.
Really?
So
okay.
So when my dad became mayor of Heron, it was my freshman year in high school. We had we had a couple phones in the house, but one phone line. And so I guess it had gotten to the point that my brother and I were using the phone enough that Dad felt like he needed to be more available to constituents who needed to get through to him or city council members or something. So he got us our own phone line, which I felt very fancy, and he put it in our room. My brother and I kind of shared a room. We when we were young, we did share a small room, and we added a room on to the house, but we added it on to our bedroom. So you had to kind of go through one room to get to the other. So it was just one kind of big, long room. And we had the phone in the doorway between the two rooms, and my brother and I shared that. Now, my brother talked on the phone 10 times more than I ever did.
right.
As a matter of fact, I'd come in my room and he'd be talking to my girlfriend because my girlfriend would call and he was more up to talking on the phone than I was. I was just not that interested in laying there for hours and with a thing up to my head. I'm still a little bit that way. And so
That's a guy thing.
Having your own number is good. I remember the boys,
powerful.
They would go to call a girl and they would be terrified of the dad. So they're playing hot potato with the phone, hoping that the dad doesn't answer, and whoever is up with the phone is the one that has to answer.
Yeah.
I just remember calling and acting like, Eddie Haskell on the Beaver saying, hi, Mr. So-and-so, this is whatever. May I speak with your daughter, whatever? How are you today? I would actually do that kind of stuff. You did that back then, though.
I'm sure you did. I could just hear you.
Seriously, I would.
I bet people were so impressed by young Thomas Mann.
Yeah. I heard you got a new car. Do you really like that? It's so-and-so. And I'd carry on a conversation with the dad, and then he'd start liking me. He said, yeah, let me go get so-and-so. Good to talk to you. And I always felt good. So then it's like, great, I'm in good,
I'm in with the whole family.
You knew how to smooze the dad.
That's pretty smooth.
Yep.
That is pretty smooth.
Yep.
It's different today, obviously. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone 1875-ish. Okay. So we're talking 150 years ago now. And of course, think about 150 years before 1875, what communication technology had been developed? Well, the telegraph, and that's it. But at some point they figured out how to communicate electronically using pulses, and then they were able to turn it into the voice being able to pass through those electrical pulses and lines. But who would have imagined that all of that communication would eventually boil down to the phone? Because we went from phone, we went to adding on. Of course, we had radio technology, we had television come along about 50 years later, 1925-ish, 26-ish.
But they didn't get its start till 49 or something because of the war?
Then it really cranked up in the 40s and 50s, and it became all the thing and all the rage, and then it's kind of cycled back around to the phone, and everything is through the phone, but in a whole different way.
Right.
We all have a personal phone. Just think Alexander Graham Bell picturing what this was. But I imagine that in some ways, when he was involved in this invention, he was envisioning the day when the technology that he had developed would develop into something that would rule the world of communication. Mm-hmm. He wasn't envisioning even TV. He was envisioning that people would be communicating everything through phone lines at that time. probably didn't understand the concept of anything cellular. I still don't understand cellular technology, but obviously it's taken over, and satellite technology and all of that is taken over so much. That leads to a big question that was raised by some followers on our social media.
Do you mean to answer the question?
You can ask that question, yes.
Okay, it's kind of like a big thing going around. I heard that Bill Swinford was buying a television news station as a wedding present for Monica. Is that what's
Trying to do
happening?
a spit take, but I was afraid of it.
Is that what it is?
Well, it makes perfect sense. I mean, he's that kind of guy that would go out and spend $50 million on a wedding present for his wife.
Yeah.
But then again, he might have a little more sense and a little less money than that because back to the point I was making, television has had its moment, and I really feel like that moment is past. Now, last thing I want to do is disparage the work of those that work in local television, and a lot of people are disparaging the work of those that work in local television. They should be disparaging the companies that buy them and cut them to the bones, and then expect them to still perform, or maybe don't. But we worked in this world, Tom, and we know how hard these folks work. We know that there's a lot of talent there, a lot of dedication there, and they are doing. I'm confident, absolute best job they can at our local. We're talking about our local ABC affiliate here, which I think most of you know what it is, but we're just trying to be very respectful
because we both work there,
Yeah.
and it's really I'll just say it because I've been a manager there in the past. It's we've gone from having very good staffs, very great group of people, and people have been there 25, 30 years, down to all of a sudden you have one person doing what probably 5, 6, 7 people used to do. And it's very difficult for those that work there. In fact, I know individuals that are still working in it, and they have a tough job. Yeah. And it's not their fault, nor is it the local anything is the problem. It's the bigger companies.
And Steve and Bonnie Wheeler, to their credit, did a great job as local people, locally owned, turned that into a powerful station that had a bigger than understood market that had an impact. It wasn't like this small market. It was a medium market station that was able to have an impact, and you had talent coming into the area to work there. It wasn't just like everybody straight out of college and then they go off. You get a little bit of that, but you have real talent that wanted to work there and stayed there and hung around there. And
then when they did leave, they went to big places.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there are people that are very big television stations around the country.
There is a lot of stories there, and you know more of them than I do. But so, I understand why people who are frustrated with this, corporation that now owns the station and, like I said, is owning it from afar, has cut back the newsroom, cut back the salaries, the talent, all of these things. I understand why people are so frustrated and want to see it locally owned again. But I'm just telling you that if somehow I myself or a group of investors were able to buy that television station, I don't think it would be a good investment because television's time has passed. We all had those, we all once lived in a world that was kind of like by appointment. We were just kind of talking about that. By appointment, somebody's coming over. By appointment, I'm going to get a phone call. By appointment, I'm going to go to my house and talk to you on my phone. I'm going to go to the privacy of my room and get that phone that's tethered to the wall and talk to you. I'm going to call grandma. But now everything is at our fingertips all the time, including the information age. And there's just not the need to have appointment, especially news watching anymore for most people. Some people still live that life. God bless them, because they probably are living a simpler life than most of us are, a less hectic life than most of us are. But that's generationally that's going away. So I can't imagine the price tag they have on the station is anything close to being worth it for anybody because of the fact that people are just not going to need that. They're not going to, maybe the local network affiliate will continue, but the infrastructure that you're buying with those millions and millions of dollars is going to be a wasted investment, and they're not with a lot of upkeep if you're going to continue to do it that way.
Yeah.
Tom, other thoughts?
No, that's really, I think you got that, and it's just been a changing world. I mean, what we're doing here was impossible even 5 years ago. I mean, 5 years ago, just in the infancy, and COVID changed a lot of that. That went through COVID, and because everything's at our fingertips, everything comes through our phones. We're talking about our little devices,
and this equipment you're able to do it with now, compared to what you needed to invest in
5 years ago,
in order to have a sharp image, a good broadcast. 5 years ago, it's incredible how far it's come.
Yeah, and the other thing is that we, I don't know. I think we pretty much said most of it, except for the fact again. So the rumor is you're buying that station or not?
Well, it's kind of a secret because
we do have a wedding. Just keep it going.
Yeah.
We have recently heard statistics that say 70% of the population gets their news from online platforms,
sources,
from social media. Yeah.
And the hard part about that, Bill and we've talked about this, and I confess too, we all have our favorite stuff we want to hear. And my wife, I admire her. She gets a feed from somebody, and there's a couple places that are just news sources. They don't editorialize anything. They don't take a side. Here's what happened today. Here's what so-and-so said. And they say nothing else. I think, or don't you think? There's none of the questions.
Right.
And so I think that's the thing now that people are really looking for. I look for that now more than I used to.
Right.
Because I want to hear the opinions. I'm just getting that where now. But we all have our favorite sides. So now we have to really start thinking. We have to be our own journalist almost. We have to go in, okay, what was really said? And so I have a tendency to like watch a whole feed of a news conference because I want to hear what was really said by this person. I do that a lot. But we can do that.
And that's available to people. That's completely an option to people. Yeah. At the same time, some people don't ever do anything like that. And they are spending no more than 5 minutes or 3 minutes is the average on any one thing and moving on. And when you have so much volume available to you, you just cannot. This is true for me. When I'm looking at a selection of YouTube videos that I could watch, I sit down, relax. Okay, maybe I want to find out. Maybe I heard something happen today. I want to find out, find a report on that. Get that. I'll get the nuts and bolts of that. Okay, I got that. Now, but there's this documentary about my favorite baseball player when I was a kid, or there's a stand-up routine of my favorite comedian over here, and it's all these little things spread around. It's like, I want to hit on that. I want to check that. Oh, that's my favorite song. I want to listen to that. I want to play that. I want to see what they're talking about. Oh, there's Bill and Monica and Tom on Squared Up. Oh man, that thing is 35 minutes. That feels really long. And if some of you are hanging in here with us through the whole thing, we love you because it's very unusual in this day and age. We go a long time. Maybe we can cut it a little shorter today. We'll see if we sometimes.
How long we stop now?
That's it. Thanks everybody. Yeah. It's we get rolling here and we go a long time but we talk about it. Those short snippets, and sometimes you'll see even of this podcast, little snippets broken up of it, little 2-minute segments. Maybe that's how you're catching us. Maybe this right now you're watching a little snippet of us talking about how the longer pieces don't work for everybody.
Here's a little bite. Bill, are you really buying a TV station here? See, there it is. It's there, right there.
No, not at this time.
Or anytime.
No comment. We had somebody
says the future wife, right? That was
or at any time. We had somebody call the newspaper office and ask our sweet Mel, who mans the phones, as a journalist, called and said, "Hey, I'm trying to get an answer on this." And we, she's such a great watchdog. She protects us and makes sure that only the most urgent things get through, especially when we're on deadline. And so she took the call. We weren't available. she was asked if there's anything to this rumor. She answered, no, that's just a rumor. It's just a rumor. And so she ended up being quoted in the regional newspaper that it's just a rumor.
It's just a rumor.
Well, okay, so that's really a nothing quote, because you read that and it's like, okay, that doesn't really, it's just a rumor. Of course, that's what they would say if they were doing something. They're not going to disclose. They're negotiating. But what happens if she says no comment? Well, then it feels like you're buying the thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's so hard to know how to address this. I was in the bank drive-through yesterday. Two of the tellers were like coming over, like, tell me it's happening. Tell me it's happening. I was like, it's not happening. It's not happening. And they didn't really believe me, because I said it 3 times, and they're like, well, if it happens, here's how I want you to do this. I was like, okay, got it, all right. And then I drove off.
Yeah, Bill said right when he got in here, he said, yeah, they can look into my bank account. They know I'm not buying.
No, that's just it. The tellers had access to my bank account. They got to know there's not $15 million sitting there. There's not. There's not.
Hey, did I tell you my son, he's moving to another state. He doesn't live here, but lives in Tennessee. He's moving to another state, which I can't tell yet, but he just bought a little piece of land.
Did he?
And yesterday he sent me pictures, and it looked like J.D. Clampett. He has oil bubbling up on his land. Yes.
Was he out shooting for some?
No, he had dug a pond and some water. He's out living rurally is what he's going to moving out to. And it came up like a bubbling pool, black gold Texas tea. And he said, this is oil. It's coming out of the ground, just out of the ground. And I said, you got mineral rights? He said, no, I don't own any of that. So I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, I would say, hey, son, we could use a little bit of money here if that was Jed Clampett.
Yeah.
At least collect some up in your cans. And
Yeah, that's true. You have some oil he can use. Not refined, but I thought that was interesting. I don't know how I got on that, but I was just thinking about that. You need money, maybe.
Hey, you just recently took a trip. Was that a family trip?
Yeah, actually it was. My son and daughter-in-law and 2 granddaughters and my daughter-in-law's parents. Mm-hmm. And my wife and I went with them, and we went to the Pigeon Forge area in Tennessee. We spent a week there.
Nice.
And we had rented a big kind of 3-story kind of house cabin.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was really nice. And we just went there for about 4 or 5 days. And,
a 3-story cabin at Pigeon Forge.
yeah, and overlooked the mountains. It was just gorgeous.
Yeah, that sounds really beautiful.
Yeah, I wish we had more time not in Pigeon Forge and not in the Gatlinburg area, because that is so congested.
Right.
But going on out more in the Smokies.
So when you're at the cabin,
it's gorgeous.
Does it feel more scenic?
Yes,
more
beautiful
isolated?
scenic. I mean, it's so scenic. We had a bear that literally showed up in front of the cabin at night making noise, walking through there, and they have black bears all over the place.
Perfect. Well, that's great.
So
did a similar trip to Branson with my daughter, and we weren't staying in a cabin, but again, seeing the hills of the Ozarks, and enjoying the outdoor life with Silver Dollar City, seeing a little scenery. Just it was fun for her, because she'd been before, but she didn't have memory of it. So that was a nice little trip we took. You went to Nashville with your sons not long ago. These little trips are great little getaways, especially when you can take your kids on them or be with your kids on them. This is what I see in my future, is having destinations where everybody kind of meets there and enjoys them. Yeah, enjoys them together. That's what I kind of hope for.
We do that often, and that's not often, but we do that with kind of each now. With each, I call them the family groups, because each of our kids' family, they got kids, and so you wind up spending time with them and focus on them. And every once in a while, like last year, I think we had a big get together. We invited all the kids. 2 of them showed up, their families. The other 2 didn't, but we try to do that when we can. It's hard to get together.
We just hosted a little get together last Friday.
Yeah.
Or last Saturday.
Saturday night.
Last Saturday
Tom
night.
was there,
That's when I was there. So
well, no, we didn't invite you to the Friday. No, it was the Saturday. It was the Saturday party. Yeah. Tell folks what that was.
Yeah. So every Friday morning at 8:30, we have a Crown Brew Bible study, and
Crown Brew being our local coffee shop. They're off the square.
in Marion, and we had a get together with our Bible study on Saturday to play Bible Jeopardy. And I think your team and Tom.
Yes, we were on the same team.
You guys were on the same team. You were the big winners.
Yeah.
I was the
Of course.
big loser.
You were, no, I don't know you're the biggest loser, were you?
I think we were tied.
Okay.
Me and the racing team were tied, but
Yeah, these were some hard questions. The nice thing about this devotion group is what I call it. I've been involved in it for a few years. It meets at Crown Brew. Anybody at any time can just walk in, plop down, and join it. We've had some people that have become long-term members of this group just by being in the room, not knowing they were going to be in the same room with a devotion group meeting, and they would overhear it, and then they might, we might get in a conversation with them. A few of our people are very good about engaging with others, inviting them in, coming in. We talk, we pray, we discuss scripture, and we get to know each other.
Yeah,
and sometimes they're friends, sometimes they're total strangers, but they end up friends.
one of the things I really appreciate about the group is that there are different denominations. That
Different people from every
backgrounds, denominations,
it's not and
stages of life.
And so when different topics come up, we get to hear all of these different perspectives, and nobody is real adamant like, oh, it's my way or the highway type of attitude. Everybody is very open and respectful, and
even though everybody knows I'm right.
Yes.
No.
we've had participants as young as 10.
yeah.
That's rare.
rare.
One of our members brings her daughter, and she's great. And then
Teenagers
teenagers come, and then as old as Tom.
and
older than Tom.
Even
There's another Tom that's older than Tom.
Oh, that's right.
And there's others that are older than Tom. That's really exciting. Yeah. I feel great because of that.
People in their 20s, their 30s, 40s,
Yeah.
50s, 60s, 70s.
And we have some pastors in that little group too, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, pastors. I think half the room are pastors.
And so Sarah,
Half the group are pastors.
Sarah Garcia does a nice job. Anytime we play Bible trivia, putting it together, she does a whole board. She has all the questions, but she's bringing questions that are, I call them the great equalizer, because I don't care if you're a pastor or if you've never cracked the Bible.
You don't know what they are.
You're not going to know the
Nobody
answers.
knew
These are so obscure.
None of us did the answers this last time.
She did a great job.
And it makes it hilarious because we're all like, we all go into it thinking we can figure this out. We can come up with this answer, and then some of the answers end up being crazy.
Yeah.
But every now and then we get lucky and we get one or two right, and so we do end up with
You
a
guys
winner.
got a multiple choice one right. That first one that was 400 points and a
The
multiple
the
choice.
easiest question of the
It
night.
was the easiest
The very
one.
I think it was, wasn't it?
No, it was, and it was multiple choice, and
And then from then on, we just had it.
And
it just
then,
went
and
down. It was-
Vicky got one that she.
Yeah.
She
She just said something right off the bat. I remember that one of the last points we got. My wife was on our team. She did
turns
it.
out we trounced everybody. I think.
Yeah.
I think you had 600 points, and then my team had 400, the other team had.
Oh, we got more. We got 700. We got a 400, 200, and then a 100, right?
Is that?
I think I'm going to take your word.
Because I remember we stopped counting. We felt bad for the other teams. So we just stopped counting after a certain number.
Yeah. So Monica volunteered that we host this party at my house.
Yeah.
Volunteered my house for this, and so I spent like 2 days cleaning house because I'm a bachelor. I don't host a lot of.
That was the whole method of doing that.
The whole goal.
Yeah.
To get
the house clean.
Get the house clean.
We had a lot of fun, a lot of great food and great dessert, and a lot of laughs.
Good time. Good times had by all. Did you want to talk any about what's been going on at the Heron Chamber? I know we have a luncheon coming up next week. Oh, the other thing, real quickly to mention before that, this next podcast we'll talk about our visit to see Dr. Glenn Pichard's first poetry reading. It happens this Sunday. This podcast will probably go up after that happens, but keep watching for those because there's going to be more of them happening. A chance for you to go hear some of his original poetry and then donate to the local food pantries. And if you missed our last episode of the podcast, you've got to tune in and hear Dr. Pichard read a couple of his personal poems. They're
so good.
Beautiful, beautiful work.
Bring tissue because you're going to cry.
Yeah. So we'll tell you more about our visit to that next time. Now, what's been going on with the Heron Chamber?
Well, we had a couple of presentations at the chamber. Let's see, higher level did an employee handbook update presentation that was exceptional. They have a lot of great webinars on their website as well for businesses. Just a great resource. They have human resource services, and a lot of the things that they do can be added as continuing education credit. So if you are in need of that for your business,
I get you.
they're a great resource. Another thing, Bank of Heron did a presentation on fraud and how to protect yourself from bank fraud, and that was also exceptional workshop.
All kinds of fraud.
Yeah.
Every kind of fraud. Artificial intelligence fraud that's happening, where people are cloning voices and things in order to try to trick you into
was new to me. I did not know that was a thing.
giving out. And you can see why that's increasingly a problem.
Yeah.
My sons have for years been able to know how to create artificial phone numbers. Now, thankfully, they're not criminals, and they've only used this within the family. But they have learned how to send texts to each other from unfamiliar phone numbers that scare the bejesus out of each other. It's been quite a thing within my family. They learned to do this. I'm thinking 10 years ago. It's in the same way that telemarketers can clone a local phone number, not clone, but grab a local phone number for use to try to get you to answer, a call that normally would say 877 something. They'll trick you into that. Well, my kids learned how to do that too. And so then you're like going, well, who is this person? I should know this. Somebody's starting a conversation with me. This is a local number by text. What are they talking about? And then they just like take it and run with it. And they have so much fun with each other about it. And then it gets a little out of hand sometimes. And one time I did it back to them. I can't remember what it was, but I got them back on it. But I'm telling you, just about anybody can figure out how to trick you into misunderstanding what's happening and potentially turn over information to people that you shouldn't. So, and artificial intelligence now is another method being used where they can make it sound like your grandchild is calling you and asking you for money. So,
wow,
it's serious.
There is one more thing we need to talk about for sure, just in case people have been watching and they saw a patch on Monica's arm.
Oh yes, yeah, we do need to address that.
Yeah, have you kicked the habit?
Patch.
What is it?
This is a vitamin C patch.
Oh, okay.
So I'm experimenting with new ways to get all of my vitamins in because can't always eat everything I need to eat to get all my vitamins in, and swallowing those supplement pills are huge. I'm getting so patches. This is a vitamin C patch. Also have a magnesium cream I use at night that's
really
beneficial. And
Vicky just got me on some vitamin gummies just because I'm
right.
kind of like a child and they're not that great, but I like the gummies.
Bill is getting
Flintstone vitamins. Those are great.
I would get those if I could. I have to
Bill
get
is getting his caffeine from his gum now.
Well, and other things.
Yeah, and vitamin B's and
that other thing, L-thiamine.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
It's
a better alternative to caffeine.
Okay.
It doesn't
So,
mess with your nervous system.
there are a lot of opportunities to live healthy, and part of it, of course, is saying no to other things that you're putting in your body. Just because you're putting patches on and chewing the right gum doesn't mean you're going to counteract
what I ate today for
what
lunch.
you ate for
That's the problem with me.
So you gotta do, you gotta guard what's going in
Right.
at the same time that you're producing other better things. And so, so keep that up. I mean, I'm going to marry you on August 9th, and I want you to be around for a long time.
I want to keep it up.
That's really nice.
I too
is
want to
very
be
nice.
around.
She'll wind up having patches all the way down both arms for every vitamin. Is that what will happen next?
That's fine.
Vitamin C, vitamin D.
That's fine. Well,
That's
it feels like we talked about everything and nothing today, but it was a good little session together, and I always
lively
enjoy
chat.
them. Yeah. We'll be back next week with more. Be sure and pick up your latest copy of the Marion Star, Heron Independent, Carterville Courier on newsstands. Follow us on social media on WFCN News or the Marion Star, Heron Independent, Carterville Courier. All have social media as well. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us downtown Marion on the square. But you cannot find where we are right now because you don't have white pages to locate us. So
That's right.
So
It's in the hole.
the man cave
Yes.
the man cave will stay in its undisclosed location, and we like it that way. We had some storm warnings today. I think they passed. But it's always nice to be in this
Humidity.
in this man cave during that, right? A lot of
Right.
humidity.
There's no humidity down here.
We're leaving to go to Beulah Church Camp. Some of you may know Beulah Church Camp in El Dorado. A lot of folks grew up going to that camp. We're going to that tonight to see my daughter, who's having a great week of camp, along with the others from Marion Aldersgate Church. And we'll have a lot more to talk about next time.
We're good.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. No problem. I enjoyed it.
For Bill Swinford.
I'm Monica Daniels.
Man, I'm Tom. Man. In the man cave.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time on Squared Up.